This video is going to be super unpopular. There's no winning here. So yesterday, Trump announced that he wants to send American troops to take Gaza for America. And at first glance, this is like Bibi's wet dream. And he seems like he's eating it up because this has been the plan all along. They were never here for peace. They never wanted the hostages. They wanted to flatten Gaza and colonize it with more Israeli settlers until eventually Gaza is no more. Then they can turn to the West Bank and deal with that. And America's been kicked in the dick by Israel so many times for so long that it makes perfect sense to just take that read of this situation. Trump has accepted huge amounts of money from Zionists like the Adelsons. He's got all kinds of Zionist ties. He's proclaimed his allegiance to Israel many, many times. But when we try to give an explanation for what we see in the world, you have to actually see like what is actually happening. Every little thing about it has to be explained by your thesis. If there's something that's not explained by it, then your thesis might be wrong, because the real explanation for what's really going on explains everything that's going on. And if there's something off, you should look at that. Before we get too deep into this, let's be clear. I am not optimistic. I am super concerned. Either that Trump is going to do a half-assed job of this and then Israel will swoop in and continue what they started, or that Trump is playing everybody and it's really just a play for his donors from Israel and it's actually just an Israel thing. But there are pieces of evidence of what's going on here that point to a bigger play that we should all at least be aware of. And one can hope. Okay? So here is the part that doesn't make sense. Trump and Bibi's relationship has been strained lately. It's been weird. Trump has recently reshared Jeffrey Sachs calling Netanyahu a deep, dark son of a bitch. Trump has snubbed Bibi on a number of occasions, and Bibi did not attend Trump's inauguration after Trump said some stuff that maybe caused some friction. It's hard to say. And then the internet started to notice that it doesn't look like Trump told Bibi about this announcement before the press conference where he announced it. Here, check this out.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site, and get rid of the...
Obviously, you got to watch that for yourself and come up with your own interpretation. Bibi is trying to stay behind a poker face. It's hard to tell what he's thinking. But based on his body language, I think there's at least a reasonable chance that he didn't know about this in advance. And if that's true, it kind of forces a reassessment of what's going on here. So let's do our best to step into Trump's shoes and look at this from something like his perspective and try to figure out what he thinks is going on. And I'm not saying I endorse this, and I'm not saying that I think that Trump is right. I don't have a good solution, because any solution where you let Palestine and Israel keep doing what they're doing will inevitably end in more bloodshed. It just will. Either you move all the Jews out and you get rid of Israel, and that's full of bloodshed and problems, or you let Israel ethnically cleanse and genocide Gaza, and that's duh. And so what Trump is doing is he's stepping in and putting the American military in Gaza and taking Gaza as an American space. And if you really think about it, that actually takes a huge amount of power away from Israel if you do that with a uncorrupted American government. In order to be uncorrupted, you'd have to do things like shut down USAID, hamstring the CIA, arrest Jeffrey Epstein, you know? You'd also have to expose their media control over the narrative so that way we can have an accurate assessment of what's really going on over there. And if you did all that and put American boots on the ground in Gaza, not only would Israel no longer be able to raid Palestinian homes in the middle of the night and take children prisoner for no reason, they wouldn't be able to carpet bomb civilian infrastructure because it'd be full of Americans. They wouldn't be able to block foreign aid into the country because it would be Americans. They wouldn't be able to gang rape Palestinians because they'd be protected by Americans. They wouldn't be able to occupy and continuously settle more and more land, at least in Gaza, potentially not in the West Bank, because it would be Americans. And Hamas, which has been propped up by Israel and the corrupt deep state here in order to continue and perpetuate this conflict, would no longer be in control in order to perpetuate this conflict, because it would be Americans. And in an ideal world, it would be fucking Palestinians. And the Israelis would have never even moved in and tried to take all this land for themselves, dating all the way back to like 1900. But that's, we're past that part. But until Trump reveals his buddy Tesla's time machine and we go back and like erase the ballot for that, We can't undo what has been done. We have to deal with the present situation, and we have to try to find a solution that has the least bloodshed possible. And while there are some serious colonial and ethnic cleansing concerns of moving all the Palestinians out and rebuilding the whole place in like an American image and allegedly allowing them to move back in, which I am super skeptical of, not to mention even theorizing that they're gonna leave willingly in the first place. Like, it sounds like we're about to have American troops fighting Hamas to try to get Palestinians to leave, because why the fuck would they trust Trump when they say, oh yeah, we'll build it back better for you and then let you come back? Like, they have no reason to believe that. But this is a super hypothetical, but it's worth considering, okay? And I'm not saying I think this is the most likely or this is real or true. I'm just saying that it's worth considering. If you really wanted to deal with Israel's influence over the United States, you would have to deal with their influence at home by dismantling their blackmail networks, by exposing their media corruption, and by getting rid of all of the complex, interconnected traitorous kind of like dealings that are happening behind the scenes. And we have seen progress towards that point, no less the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein and now the election of Pam Bondi.
Well, we know he was on the plane, not only on the plane a couple times, multiple times. He traveled internationally.
Who's openly going after Jeffrey Epstein and talking about releasing those files or something along those lines. You'd have to take away a lot of the American deep states, like intelligence agency corrupt power networks, like USAID, for example. And that would hamstring their ability to corrupt politics and, policy here at home. But you'd also have to deal with what's going on over there and stop them from having this kind of endless war machine kind of excuse to get American tax dollars and to play the victim and to sort of construct this narrative around what's happening in Israel and Palestine. And taking it over for America will do that. It's also the best shot that Palestinians have at actually getting like a real functioning state with an economy, with buildings, with infrastructure, with food. And let's be clear, I don't think Trump is doing this because he identifies with the Palestinian struggle. I don't think he's doing this out of just the goodness of his heart, if he's even doing this. If anything, he would be doing this for his ego and his legacy, which is fine by me. And if, big if, he actually was doing this to the ends of peace and, defanging Israel, then he would go down in history as one of the greatest presidents in my lifetime, for sure, and possibly in American history. I honestly can't think of any other way to actually address the problems of Israel. Like, everyone on here loves to scream about the Jews and loves to scream about Israel but do you have a solution? Because I'm not okay with any solution that involves killing Jewish people or most of the solutions, when you really get down to it, end up being genocide in the other direction. And that's not okay. We need a solution that can end the conflict, separate the parties, and basically tell everyone to take a fucking time out. And I can imagine, I can optimistically hope that this is potentially a way to do that. And if he was doing that, it would make sense that he had kind of pulled the wool over Bibi's eyes and was playing very nice with Israel all along the way, and still to right through the process would sort of force a smile in public and present policies that they can't overtly object to, because technically it is what they have to say they want, is a peace deal. I mean, it would be pretty ingenious, actually. Now, is the actual land partition in any way fair? No, not in the fucking slightest. Is the funding issue with our tax dollars cleared up? No, not in the slightest. He's giving even more money to Israel. And do I really think that Trump has the best intentions in mind? No, not really. I want to hope, but no, not really. And even if he pulls all this off, it's still kind of a selfish, America-centric solution to the problem over there that sort of puts American economic interests above Palestinian lives and interests. There's the whole question of the natural gas and the oil that's over there. There's the question of the canal that is being talked about, the Ben Gurion Canal. It's a power play. All I'm saying is that it's complicated, and I don't feel like we know what's really going on yet. And unless you've been sitting in Trump's private meetings and know exactly what's inside his head, you probably don't know what's going on either. So stay frosty, question everything, and pray for peace. Because no matter how you slice it,